So many young people like me are struggling to get on the housing ladder, but someone who will undoubtedly be a net drain on society is given a nice terraced house in Nuneaton for free. Being a British taxpayer is like being punched in the face every day. Now, those aren't my words, those are the words of Piers. Piers is just an ordinary Englishman. He's trying to get by in life. He wants to start a family, buy a house, pay his way. But he's struggling. And why is he struggling? Well, it's because the British government is charging him an exorbitant rate of tax just to live. I mean, really think about it. The tax rates in this country are like, what, 50% if you're a top earner, 40% if you're a kind of average earner? Absolutely ridiculous. The British government then takes those taxes and uses them to house people like Mohammed Kamara, a guy who arrived in this country, what, maybe a few months ago on a dinghy? He's not a citizen. Piers is a citizen, but receives very little benefit from being one. Mohammed Kamara is not, and yet he gets all of the benefits. That's not how a country is meant to work. And so, in a way, Piers, by virtue of being a citizen, is a second-class citizen. Now look, we all know that this stuff is going on, but I read an article in the Times just the other day, and it still blew my mind. I mean, I'm just going to read you a few lines from it. My friend's department recently housed a charming, don't care, East African asylum seeker who had been given leave to remain, providing him with a newly refurbished studio on a quiet tree-lined street. Very nice. But then he brought over his wife and multiple children through the refugee family reunion scheme. Yeah, of course he did. Shocker. Other tenants in the block of flats they probably paid for, complained about the noise. The family had trouble fitting in one bedsit, but the council could not throw them out. We could just throw them out the country, right? So at short notice, it had to provide them with a 4-bedroom house. Now that isn't even the good bit. Wait for this. The man has no job and is living on universal credit. No one in the family can speak any English. The children need schools and his wife requires medical attention. Great. The council has a duty of care, so they went to the top of the housing list, bypassing 2,000 locals. 2,000 locals bypassed by this guy who just arrived in the country from Africa. What the hell are we doing? Listen, the article goes on, by the way, to say that there are more than 110,000 people who claimed asylum in the last 12 months. So now you take those 110,000 people, assume that they all bring 2 family members, right? Suddenly you've got 330, maybe up to 400,000 people who need housing. No local person is ever going to be at the top of a council housing waiting list, right? Those people are completely screwed because we're taking our entire housing stock and giving it to completely random foreigners who don't have jobs and rely on our taxes to get their universal credit. This is completely mental, right? This cannot last. This country is going to collapse. You think that this can keep going on? Where's the money going to come from? Yes, your taxes are going to go up in the next budget. We know that, right? But your taxes can only keep going up to a point. A lot of the jobs are getting replaced by AI anyway. Who's going to keep paying these taxes? Nobody. This system is going to collapse and it's going to be absolutely brutal. I'm talking no pensions, no state pension, nothing. There's no money. We're up to our eyeballs in debt, 4 trillion in debt. Okay, we're borrowing money just to pay interest on debt because we can't afford it any other way. This is going to collapse. And one of the reasons is that we have just got an open borders system. We let everyone in and then we pay for it. Mental, completely mental. I know it. You know it. Now, I know that all sounds really bad, but unfortunately, I really do think the situation is that dire. And yet we all know the solution, don't we? We know what needs to happen. The asylum system needs to be abolished. It needs to be scrapped completely. It's completely destroying our country. Everyone knows that. It's just being abused. Not only do we need to scrap the asylum system, we need to repeal every draconian law that stops us from deporting people back to their own countries or back to a third country. I've said in the past, deport them all to Afghanistan. Okay? If you make that a rule, you'll only have to send a few thousand before everyone else gets the message and realizes, I should probably just leave the country because I don't really want to go to Afghanistan. There are solutions. There are things we can do to turn this country around. They're tough measures, but it has to happen. An asylum system is not something that any country has to have. We don't have to have it. It's a luxury. It's a nice to have. Okay? It doesn't benefit this country in any way other than we can stand on the world stage and say, well, we've got an asylum system. I don't care. It's destroying the country and it has to go completely. Be scrapped. We don't take any asylum seekers anymore. Now, in the future, for example, if there was some kind of war in France, then yeah, we could take French people. We could make that decision on an ad hoc basis, on a case-by-case basis, and take people, take Europeans. This is not complicated. If there is a war in Africa, then those Africans who have been displaced should go to other African countries. Doesn't that make sense? Where they go to somewhere where their own culture is practiced. If there's a war in the Middle East, they should go to other safe Middle Eastern countries. Right? But everyone floods to Europe. Why? Well, because you make it to the land of milk and honey, and the British taxpayer will put you up in a nice house. They will give you universal credit. You basically just get to live for free, bring your family over. Everyone wants to live in a first world country and have all of their stuff paid for them, right? Everyone wants that. Everyone. And so until we abolish the asylum system, this isn't going to change. And look, you've got to compare this to how some people are living in Britain right now. English people, British people. I'm going to show you a few video clips, and it's kind of sad, right? When you watch these clips, I hate looking at things like this. It makes me really sad to see what we're doing to our own people. Here's one. It's a lady called Leah.
Where do you sleep overnight?
Well, we get bounced from shed to shed because they all get shut down. Like, that's the thing as well. That's one of the bad things. They're shutting all the places for the homeless down. Like that doorway on the side of this pub here, I was sleeping in there. I'd move in the morning, no problem, but just because I'm homeless, they put a big door in it so you can't get in them. Like,
so they're blocking all little pathways for you to...
Yeah, they're blocking all the sheds off. Anywhere where homeless people sleep, they're blocking them off where they sleep.
And here's another clip, also really heartbreaking, a lady called Jade.
Do you think that you're integrated? Do you feel like this is it for you, your life?
Hopefully not. That's why I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. It's frustrating because people say, oh, you're carrying it for attention. It's frustration.
Let me just play one more, and this is a guy called Anthony. Now, Anthony actually got evicted by his landlord to make way for migrants. Why? Well, because the council will pay the landlord more than the landlord could extract from Anthony in rent. But who's paying the council tax that's used to evict Anthony? Well, it's Anthony himself. That's how disgusting and shameful this whole thing is. Anthony is basically paying the council, who are then going to pay his former landlord to evict him. It's ridiculous. Just watch it.
So we've just met this guy in Uxbridge while they're putting all the flags up. Yeah. This guy has now been made homeless because he was living in a property that the people have now took back to house immigrants.
Yeah, so basically what happened is, my name's Anthony, I'm 31 years old. I was living in a property with an agency called Homeward Management. I was supposed to get evicted through the court because my contract expired, but what happened was I've gone to work, I actually work, I go drama school and that stuff like that, and I've come back home. They've told me that two guys in turbans and the landlord have come around, deleted my pin off the front door, and they've changed the locks on my room door and moved someone in already. So that's what.
And you've been to the council today?
I've been to the council, innit?
Today? Don't want to give you paperwork.
And you've got to get to Fort Park to work tomorrow, and you're homeless.
I'm homeless, I work, I'm at drama school, and they still won't help me, innit?
Look, I just want to circle back to this point about us effectively being second-class citizens, because there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that I could do as a native Brit, as an Englishman, that would make the government immediately put me up in a hotel and then try and find me an HMO all paid for, okay? Nothing whatsoever that I could do to achieve that. And yet, if you're a random guy in Africa, there is. You just have to get on a dinghy from France, cross into England and say, I claim asylum. And the government, the British government, will do all of that for you. There's nothing I could do to get that kind of treatment. And so when I say that we're second-class citizens, that we're basically just tax pigs, I really mean it. I really, really mean it. And the only way we get out of this situation is to completely abolish the asylum system. We're just being taken advantage of. Everyone knows it. Everyone can see it. Okay, you've got all of these crazy, spurious claims coming in. You've got all of these lawyers that know exactly what to say. They know all of the check boxes to tick to ensure that someone is actually granted asylum. It's just ridiculous, okay? This needs to end. We've got no idea who these people are. Look, if you're lucky, most of them are just chancers. They're just grifters. They want to come in to live in a first world country and have everything paid for. That's if you're lucky. The unlucky sort of aspect of this is that, well, look, we've got no idea what their criminal history is. We've got no idea if someone who claims to be from Syria is actually just a jihadi. We actually have no idea. This has to end. The asylum system does nothing to benefit us, nothing to benefit the British people. It's just one of those nice to have things where the Prime Minister or the Foreign Secretary can stand on a world stage and say, oh yeah, well, we've got this asylum system. Don't care. It's destroying the country, crippling the country. It has to go. It has to be abolished. And you know what? The only people that I'm hearing actually talk about abolishing the entire asylum system are the guys that Restore Britain.
We should abolish the asylum system in its totality. It's not fit for purpose. It's a luxury that we can't afford at this moment in time because there are so many people in Britain who are struggling. And, you know, an asylum system is something that I'm sure we'd like to have. I mean, I'm a Christian and I believe in helping those who are in need. But actually, at this moment, I think we have to take care of our own first. And that's not immoral. That's not unjustified. It's actually the behaviour of any self-respecting nation. So we're saying that in the long term, we have to abolish the asylum system. But in the short term, we have to make it as, essentially, we have to make the environment as hostile as possible for those coming here illegally. We can't be putting them up in hotels. We can't be giving them clothing and money and food and phones and all the rest of it. We can't be permitting them to work in this kind of grey economy of these, you know, food delivery services and indeed the black economy of actual crime. We need to be putting them in tents on MOD land, providing them with the minimum possible that meets humanitarian standards when it comes to things like shelter and clothing, and we need to remove them as quickly as possible. And we need to deport every single illegal migrant who's currently in the country. Until we do that, Ian, you know, I don't think we can say we're a serious.
It's not a political party, but if you want to join, you can. It costs £20. You don't even have to be, you know, born in Britain. Okay, you can be anyone. You're basically just sort of donating them £20 to start, you know, pushing some of these agendas. There's a lot of left-wing groups that are very well funded, and this is the first time we've got one on the right that's trying to actually act in our interests. Look, I'm going to leave the video there. It's a short video, a little bit ad hoc. I'm just seeing some things which are really, really frustrating me, yes, but also upsetting me. You know, it's wrong. What's happening in this country is completely wrong. I have got the dog out with me today. I've been keeping a close eye on her. The reason she wasn't in the last few videos, for those who missed it, she's in season, so I just had to be a little bit careful. Obviously, I'm looking at the camera a lot of the time, not at the dog, and I don't want her to run off, find a boy, and then I've got puppies. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for bearing with me. I've actually been feeling a little bit unwell for the last couple of days. Starting to feel a little bit better. I'm sure I will towards the end of the week. September 13th, I will be there. Hopefully I'll see some of you. And yeah, I'll leave the video there. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Like, comment and subscribe, all that good stuff. See you in a future video.